What's a mistake most guys make when trying to get a girlfriend? Story 1. Applying your previous relationships to your new relationships. For example, I took it to heart when an ex called me clingy, which led me to try and play it cool in relationships after, where big romantic gestures would have been appreciated, that I would have loved to have done, but didn't because I thought it would make me look clingy. Story 2. Trying too hard to impress instead of just being themselves. Confidence is attractive, but if it feels forced or fake, it's a major turnoff. Focus on building a genuine connection rather than treating it like a performance or a checklist. Story 3. In my honest experience, the most common mistake is not asking her out. I've seen men flirt for 3-8 months with a girl or pine for over a year without ever saying anything to her explicitly, just like waiting for her to notice, I suppose. Don't do that. If you're interested and think she is, make a move within a month or two. After that, it gets more awkward to try and change the terms you're acting on. Story 4. Forgetting or not realizing that it's a mutual thing. You can't force it, and neither are you required to. She either likes you or she doesn't. Women aren't some mythical creature that needs to be tamed. All it needs is chemistry, which leads us to the final point. Be yourself. Being the best possible version of yourself does of course help, so try giving that a shot. Story 5. They see a girlfriend as a sidekick to their life, who will make it complete, not her own full person. They don't have female friends, and so only know how to interact with women their age as potential romantic interests. They use physical touch and to regulate stress because they never learned how to self-soothe their emotions themselves. Build community and support systems. Close and supportive relationships outside of a girlfriend so that she is not expected to be your entire support system. Stop seeing a woman dating you as a mark of success or acceptance. Is not a reward for being a decent person. Take some notes from all the women who are learning to decenter men in their lives. This isn't a rejection of men. It's reprioritizing themselves as the center of their own lives and learning to be complete on their own. Dating is not looking for a missing piece. They focus on the things that men say women value: muscles, money, height, instead of the things that actually make you a pleasant person to be around: financial security, ability to take care of yourself and your body, good hygiene, keeping a clean, homey home, knowing how to cook to feed yourself, going to the doctor, taking care of the things that women are so often expected to bring to a home. Build a home and life that doesn't need a woman's touch. Living like a bachelor, with a dirty bathroom, only frozen pizzas in the fridge, dirty sheets, dirty fingernails, makes you look like a teenager who needs a mom, not an adult man who is ready for a partner. If you're lonely, get a dog or a cat, volunteer, make new friends, build a chosen family. The solution isn't to go on a date. That's like going grocery shopping when you're hungry. Feed yourself before you date, and then you can find the right person and say goodbye to the wrong person because you aren't desperate for what you hope they offer. All of this advice should also be applied to women. Story 6. I always say this in a language they can understand. Bro, you're thinking like a man, not a woman. They assume women want one thing, but they shouldn't assume at all. Get to know the person as an individual, what they like, what they want, and decide if you are right for that. If not, move on respectfully. Story 7. Not noticing if she's interested. This goes both ways too. Some guys will pursue girls that have no romantic interest in them, but are trying to be gentle and not hurting feelings, so they end up wasting time chasing someone they can't be with. Then other guys don't notice the obvious to girls flirting happening and end up missing out because they couldn't take a hint. Learn to recognize both ways and respect the choice of the girl making it. Story 8. Being unattractive. Jokes aside, that is actually wildly true. Attraction comes in many forms, however, so it isn't always about looks. It's also about personality, hygiene, intelligence, behavior. There are tons of things that can make or break someone's attractiveness. You need to cultivate your attractiveness. Read some books, learn a skill, take up a hobby. Focus on yourself and build a self. Don't try to be who you think other people want you to be. Who you want to be will be exactly who someone else is looking for. I am going to sound old, but I also think people need to get off the social media and the dating apps and start going out into the world and meeting people and making friends and memories. It's much easier to know if you are attracted to someone if you actually get to meet them and get to know them, and especially in group settings surrounded by friends. Story 9. Pretending to be friends as a step towards a relationship. These are not two steps on the same ladder. Most girls would much rather have a genuine friend than someone who pretends to be one to get in their pants. Of course, many guys also get it right. Being friends for the sake of friendship, growing feelings after becoming friends, or being romantically involved from the get-go. But rejecting your friend's romantic attempts just for the friendship to die makes you suspicious of every friendly guy afterwards, and oftentimes you are right. Story 10. Caring too much about getting a girlfriend leads to ignoring red flags and potential interests and themselves. Men should really focus on building themselves and their happiness before getting into serious relationships, especially men in their 20s. Many unhappy young men latch onto women BC. It makes themselves feel good. Let life choose your significant other, not your brain. Optimize yourself, and you might have a chance at a successful relationship. Story 11. Confusing good traits desirable in a boyfriend with traits important and useful in attracting a woman. These are quite different. Almost every woman and man values things like kindness, intelligence, loyalty. But if you start out in a mighty effort to flex your intelligence or kindness, it looks bad. Really, really bad. Those are things that are demonstrated over time organically. Attraction is more about appearance, social skills, emotional intelligence that clues you into what the other person is feeling and wants, doesn't want, humor, being successful at something, confidence, sincere interest, etc. Story 12, trying to get a girlfriend. If you're interested in finding a romantic partner, less is more as far as effort goes. Cool, casual, poised. The line between trying and trying too hard is thinner than people think, and women can spot it easily, and they are quite averse to it. Put yourself out there, interact, focus on finding chemistry and connection, not a girlfriend. This is all purely my personal experience, anecdotal from those around me. Story 13, not knowing what they want and not being able to communicate that to the person they are trying to get with. Do you want a friend? Do you want a buddy? Do you want a spouse eventually? Do you want to just have someone you can chase? Do you not really want anything, but are open to where it goes? All of these are acceptable answers as long as they are communicated with the other person. Know what you want, know what you bring, and know what you want them to bring, and let them know that it's important. You don't need to be an ass about it. You don't have to demean someone, but you do need to honestly and concisely tell them through your words and actions. Some women like games. They like the hunt like men do. They enjoy the chase. Some women don't like the chase. They just want to know that they are wanted and want you back and won't play those games. This is another fully fleshed out human being who has their own wants/needs/life goals, and those goals will change with time. Right now, they may just want a bone. They may want to get married ASAP and start making babies. They may just want to start making babies. They may not want children at all and want only to be with you and the pet. They may want a career, to be respected, to stay in school and focus only on academics. Here's the thing. Unless you actually have a conversation to tell them what you're looking for, what your dreams are, and find out what they're looking for and what their dreams are, you'll end up in this weird state of constant disappointment where you don't want to ruin whatever this is when what you have is possibly something but most likely nothing. If you like playing games, then this won't work. Know if you are the kind of person who actually likes the will they won't they aspect of relationships. If it's a big deal to you, then I also suggest telling them. Story 14. Dude here. I found the best way to actually form a healthy relationship is not go too fast or too slow. Match her pace and don't cling on too fast. No girl wants to be love-bombed from the rip. Also have hobbies and interests of your own. Take time for yourself and show you aren't codependent and desperate. Story 15. Not treating her like an individual human being. Stop treating her like an animal whose trust you're trying to gain. Lack of listening to an issue and then correcting the offending behavior. Not being a partner. Women are not your servants. They are not your mother. They are not your keeper. Stop that nonsense and be self-sufficient. Story 16. They're after women who don't want to be with them. I knew a few guys who wanted women who weren't interested in them. They'd change who they were, then end up in relationships and get upset when it ended. Then they do the same all over again. Look for someone who you're compatible with. Don't change yourself to be with a woman, then switch up on them when you think they're trapped. Some of them will stay because they're desperate to find the person they thought was real, but the others will leave. Story 17. Being idle during dates. If you're on the date, she obviously finds you somewhat attractive. Don't stand on the side like you're her son and she dragged you shopping. Talk with her, be chivalrous, match her energy, and initiate small touches. Don't wait for her to text you first. I understand it might be social anxiety, but it's a huge turnoff for a lot of women when guys act like this. Story 18. What impresses your boys does not do the same for all girls. A fast car? Lots of money? Jacked too? Sure, some girls like that. Most are more interested if you are interesting. Hobbies they can join in and gatekeep. It's not. Learn to cook. Even like 3 dishes you learn to make well. Don't be weird about periods. Touching a cotton bullet wrapped in plastic is not gross, and you're being both weird and immature about it. Although none of this matters if you don't actually listen to her, what she likes, what you have in common, that sort of thing. Story 19. Assuming said girl is someone they'd want to date before truly getting to know them. Like sure, yeah, someone may be pretty and quirky, But it's hard to gauge real compatibility until 3 months of dating. Rushing into a relationship assumes a lot about what your chemistry is like before you've even built up a solid foundation. On second thought, both guys and girls do this. Story 20. Failure to actually shoot their shot. Ask her out. She didn't friend zone you. You friend zoned yourself by never mustering any courage. If your interest in the person is romantic, say so. Either possible response is constructive. If they say yes, good for you. If they say no, you know to move on to another potential companion. Story 21. I wouldn't say most guys make these mistakes, but there's a few common mistakes I remember from when I was younger, and guys were hitting on me a fair bit. The number one mistake is forming a friendship with a girl with the end goal of it becoming a relationship, but not making that intention clear at the start. I've been in friendships where the guy has acted like my friend, but then expressed anger at me dating people and been an asshole to my actual boyfriends. All that did was make me dislike the friend for being an asshole and end the friendship. The second mistake is relentlessly obsessing or going after someone out of their league and ignoring girls who actually like them and are in their league. Back in my younger, hotter days, I worked with and was friends with a lot of nerdy guys. Video game store. Quite a few of them were actually in relationships, and I was friends with their girlfriends, but would hit on me anyway and tell me they would leave their girlfriends for me. It was a way to treat their girlfriends, and all it did was cause pain to the person who actually loved them, who they could have had a real future with. Lastly, just outright lying and pretending to have hobbies and interests in things you don't, or knowledge that you don't to impress a girl. Story 22. This dude put all his money in clothes, a base model BMW, and a decent condo. And I mean, most of his money went to these things all because he wanted to date a pretty woman. And I'm listening to him ask me what he's doing wrong, and I'm like, Simon, you are 31, 5'9", 350 pounds and balding. Could have got you a gym membership at Crunch and a nutritionist for pennies compared on what he spent on trying to look like a boss. Story 23. Caring more about approval, getting the girl, securing the W, rather than focusing on getting to know her authentically and figure out the ways you both connect. I think a lot of men don't give themselves enough credit, and sometimes their self-worth hinges on whether or not they're able to get a girlfriend. Then they end up trying too hard, because it's no longer just about getting to know her. It's about how you see yourself. A lot of the time, what is seen as personal rejection is really just a two-way incompatibility. But guys don't catch on to that as quickly. Build your own character. Open up a little and try to understand her humanness. Be honest. If your humor, character, and values line up, things flow a lot easier. Story 24. Not making their intentions clear. So many guys will happily pretend to be friends, waiting for the right moment, not realizing that building your entire relationship on lies is a problem. Make it clear you're into her romantically and/or yali, and that your goal is to be involved romantically and/or yuli. She's probably just as nervous as you are and wants to know you're attracted to her. And if she's not into you or doesn't want any of that, move on instead of pretending to be friends until you think she's vulnerable, or worse, destroying your own self-esteem, pining over a girl that's just not interested in you. Story 25. Focusing so hard on impressing her that they don't even bother thinking if they actually like her or not. Falling for stupid, outdated stereotypes about how you're supposed to court and behave. If it doesn't feel right to you, then don't do it. Coming on too strong too fast without reading the room, and conversely being so nervous that you make it an awkward experience altogether for everyone involved. Asking closed questions like a job interview instead of open-ended ones that lead to discussions. Less is more, guys. Less questions but meaningful ones. Silly questions endlessly. Ignoring glaring red flags simply because you find her attractive. Not one guy in history has had this end well for him. Story 26. Forget to see the value in themselves. Us can become so obsessed with all the values we see in having a woman as their GF, we forget to take a step back and telling ourselves what value we also bring and then begin to feed off that value. And if you feel you don't bring any, then that is the best first step you can take, is to start to add value to your life. Story 27. Not treating the girl they're interested as a human being with interests/thoughts/feelings, but instead as walking genitals or how they make you feel. If I ask you what is it that makes you vibe with this girl, and the responses only are about looks or how you feel, then nah, you don't like this girl, you like you with this girl, and that is super transparent and easy to see. Story 28. It being their only thing going on. I generally enjoy my friend, but man, is getting with a girl the only thing he talks about or tells me about. There's more to life. For example, he lives with his parents, just got his license back, and could work on a ton more than getting a girl to suck him off and spoon him. You want a girlfriend? Start living your life for you and not the goal of girlfriend. She'll find you. Story 29. Trying. Nothing as big a turnoff as desperation. Stop looking. Relax. Be in the moment. Enjoy yourself. Say hi without expectations or implications. If you are told no, accept it. Don't push it. Don't be that guy. People don't like being hit on hundreds of times a day and develop a deep habit for it. Respect. Get a hobby. Walk the dog. Mind your own business. Engage in innuendo-free conversation. I never got hit on until I was in a strong relationship and had stopped worrying about it. Talking to their crush differently than anyone else. Just talk to them like people because, believe it or not, they are people. Don't pedestal them. If you wouldn't go out of your way trying to impress another friend, then don't do it for them either. Just be normal. It's actually easy AF. It also makes things feel way less stressful. Then, when you want to check how things are progressing, just ask. There is no need to mess about with trying to pick up on hints or spending years trying to engineer the right situation. Just ask if whatever kind of relationship you're after is even an option. Worst case scenario, you've made a friend. Best case scenario is obvious. Weirdly enough, having many female friends will actually help you learn how to talk to women, which will increase your chances next time. There really is no downside to just being a normal person when trying to peddle your wares. Story 31. Relationships should feel natural. Don't overthink everything. This person should be easy to talk to and hang out with. This is all a trial run for a potential life partner. If you're anxious, overthinking, scared, and jealous, this relationship isn't for you, and you need to go and work on any wounds that lead you to this person staying with them. GTFO, if you feel this way, you're heading for disaster. Let us assume you managed to get a GF, something I've seen and experienced with men in particular that has a 99% success rate of imploding relationships was complacency. Don't get so comfortable that you forget to show your partner that you value and appreciate them. You're not expected to perform. Just give her a hug sometimes, man. Tell her you were thinking about her, or suggest a movie night in together. I've seen women sit in relationships for months prior to a breakup, waiting for men to meet the bare minimum, begging them at times. If the breakup came out of nowhere, he probably got complacent. The more times women experience this, the less likely they are to want to hop into another relationship for fear of this happening again. And it happens a lot. Men, please, for the sake of your fellow men in the dating scene, don't do this. Story 32. They get too desperate. They see it as a game to be won. Do anything to win. Dating isn't about a success rate. Every situation that doesn't pan out is just as important as everyone that does. It's about finding someone you actually connect with. If you change your behavior just to give them whatever you think they want, then that defeats the whole point. Story 33-2 that I've seen a lot and done myself. Keep hoping for something to happen with a woman when she said she isn't interested. It only leads to misery in my experience. Taking romantic suggestions from the wrong people includes most people in this thread. Women in particular often give counterproductive advice, not out of bad intent, of course, but because the dynamics of the dating world affect them very differently from men. Not all women OFC, there's at least one example of a woman giving out some real advice ITT. Story 34, *, talk too much. My father used to say, in this world there's only two types of girls, those that want to be with you, those who do not. It's up to you to change their minds. Many dudes in these generation cock-block themselves by talking. Just ask questions and let the girl babble about whatever she wants to, just pretend you care about what she has to say. Ask good to great follow-up questions and keep it pushing. After a while, she gonna fall for you. It starts with, OMG, he is such a great listener. But no, nowadays a lot of dudes want to be the center of attention with bitchy attitudes and end up on Reddit asking for tips on how to get a girlfriend. Story 35. The advice I always give my guy friends that they never take, and all my female friends say spot on. 1. Hygiene/self-care. So many guys don't take care of themselves because they feel they will never get into a relationship. It becomes a self-feeding cycle. Don't take care of themselves because they aren't in a relationship, but trying to get into a relationship when you shower once a week. 2. Don't be desperate to get into a relationship. If your mindset is, I need to get into a relationship, you will likely end up compromising on things you don't really want to compromise, and it will sabotage the relationship in the long run. Pick 2. 3 really important things to you and focus on that. If you're a gamer, either pick someone who is also a gamer or respects that. If camping is really important, make sure they like camping too. If the goal is to have a partner, find a partner, not just someone who is also desperate for a relationship. 3. Communicate. If you like her, tell her. If you have certain boundaries, be open about it. Keeping secrets will only make the reveal more difficult later. Story 36. Maybe some women feel differently, but on dating apps, I get annoyed when guys message me and all they say is, you're really beautiful. Okay? Believe it or not, I actually feel confident enough in my own appearance that I don't need some random guy trying to impress me by complimenting my appearance. That tells me nothing about you or why I should be interested in you. Did you actually read my profile? Is there something in there about me as a person that interested you? What's interesting about you? I'm not naive. I know all us swipe left based on appearance sometimes, but I want to know my appearance isn't the only reason you swiped right. Story 37. Thinking that it shouldn't take any effort or you're not being yourself. Be yourself. Make the jokes you'd make. Be honest about the way you feel about things, but also put effort into the way you dress and the manners you put on display. It's not fake. It's showing her respect and making her feel comfortable while she gets to know you. Also talk less about yourself and ask her more questions about herself to get to know her and make her feel like you care about knowing who she is. Source: married for 23 years. Story 38. You literally said it right in the title. It's trying to find a girlfriend instead of trying to find love. Dudes will get with a girl and not know her name until after they've ed and then realize that, or maybe they already knew and don't give a, that this person literally has zero interests or hobbies in common with you. It's actually insane to me how common this is, especially when it doesn't even make logical sense to do. Story 39. Personal partner time attention balancing stuff is critical. Once you start looking for more serious commitment, i.e. monogamous, high engagement time dating, take a deep breath. I want you to picture your life, from your job to the things you like to the physical objects you own, like a very metaphorical shelf full of things. Your anime collection represents your appreciation of anime, your games, your love of games, your track shoes, your time spent doing athletics. Now, you aren't looking to fit someone on a shelf. They aren't a possession. No, you're taking somewhere around half your stuff, maybe more if you add pets, kids later down the line, off of the shelf and making room for hers to go on it. That doesn't mean you're throwing that stuff out. That's in large part because you're adding much more space in the metaphorical house. After all, she's taking half her stuff and making room for you. Note that this mental process doesn't have to happen all at once. You can start by giving her one cubby or one level of the shelf, but eventually you're going to be having less space for you and more space for her. That means things are working well and should continue to work better. Story 40. Not thinking for yourself. A lot of boys today never have a good male role model or father to look up to, so a lot turn to online influencers who don't have their audience's best minds at heart. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn by example from other people, but a lot of young men today act in ways just because some Sigma YouTuber said so, rather than actually living by their own code. That's what I think women mean by having self-confidence. I get it. I never had a father growing up too. It can be confusing, frustrating, and scary because it feels like no one is there to really teach you anything or truly understand you. But that's why you got become the man who should have been there in your life. Don't dwell on the misfortunes you may have had. Use it as inspiration to ensure the future doesn't suffer as much as you did. It's all about making the world a bit better than it was a day ago. Story 41. The mistake is trying to get a girlfriend. I'm being completely serious. You shouldn't be out there actively trying to get a girlfriend. You should be working on yourself, doing the things that make you happy, living your life, and going on dates to meet new people, learn about others, learn about yourself, and enjoy life. Getting the right girlfriend is a side effect of having created a life that you enjoy, that someone else would want to be part of, and thinking of it as a result rather than a goal avoids putting yourself in bad situations just because you want a girlfriend. Story 42. Trying to get a girlfriend. Do you be comfortable and confident being single and your own person? Take opportunities to meet people for the sake of meeting people, not just in hopes that you'll meet someone. Desperation stinks. Make friends. Have hobbies. These things will present opportunities to meet potential partners who will be attracted to your confidence and assurance in yourself. People are much more likely to be interested in someone when we know they don't need us, when they genuinely want to get to know us with no expectation of or a relationship. You can't fake this, though. You actually have to be comfortable and confident being single, not just trying to check off boxes to find a relationship. Story 43. Trying to buy their love. So many men end up posting that they're pissed off because their girlfriend that they showered with gifts and let her run all over them ended up breaking up with them. Well, if you need to win her love with money gifts, then she doesn't love you. She loves the money and the gifts, and eventually, she's just going to get bored with you and find somebody else that she's actually attracted to. It sounds harsh, but if your attitude is, I'm giving them this, so they should be with me, then all you're ever going to get is somebody who only cares about what they can get out of you. Story 44. Thinking of it as getting a girlfriend. That phrasing makes it sound like you're applying for jobs, but that's not really a healthy way to go about it. When I was younger, I went on a pretty long dating spree, largely under that same premise, and the mental state it put me in was just very unfun. I constantly felt like I had to hide parts of my personality and emphasize others, shape my behavior to match the job description. By the end of it, I was happy to find someone who likes the me that comes out when no one's around. In order to find her, I had to let go of the idea of getting a girlfriend and treat dating as just being myself with a woman who's being herself and seeing if we click. If so, great. If not, also great. If not, also. I recognize that that attitude is hard to develop without a certain amount of experience for most people, but the sooner you figure it out, the happier and ultimately more successful you'll be. Story 45. I think too many people try and twist themselves into a pretzel, trying to offer things that they think generic women want, instead of just being themselves, and don't realize that getting people to date you isn't the real goal. It's keeping someone dating you after they start. You don't want to be in the reality that the person you are dating was attracted to things you fundamentally aren't, because then it becomes a game of faking it forever and being miserable or being your true self and driving them away. If you think money is what attracts women, all you are going to attract is women who want money. If you think height is all that matters, you are going to find yourself dating shallow women who only care about height. Whatever stereotype you have is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and thus your cynicism is a one-way ticket to perpetual misery. You do it to yourself. Try to remember that women are people too, and all the desires you have for finding a partner and what they bring is something they have in some form or another for you. You are a potential generic man that they are wondering about mistakes made when trying to get you. So what can you offer? So many get misled by these idiotic grifters like Tate that women want specific things like height, money, power, etc. And yes, those are things you can offer, but there's also so much more. None of those are requirements. They are just random elements in a huge array of various traits you can offer women. You can be funny, nice, a good listener, calming, exciting, smart, supportive, a good selfless, etc. But above all else is interesting. But again, whatever you offer is who you will attract. And ultimately, not everyone will be interested in what you will offer. That's not a problem or slight against you. That's just reality. There is nothing a store can sell that interests everyone. Why would every woman in the world be interested in your combination of value? Yes, if your value is more niche, it will be harder to find a partner. That sucks, but that's just reality. If you're really into a certain hobby, embrace it. And while it may not interest most, when you do find someone who also values that thing, it will be incredible. Story 46. The biggest mistake is making the goal get a girlfriend. Focus on making yourself the best possible you that is possible in the eyes of you. Engage in activities you like and want to be better at, and everything will come together. When guys try to get a girlfriend, they change who they are. And at one, doesn't give of the best version of you or two. If you connect with a girl, it doesn't go anywhere because you're not who you tried to be to get her. Be you. Become a better you that you admire and enjoy life. Can be lonely at times, and doubt is normal, but trust in bettering yourself. Good energy attracts good energy. Plus, once you're in a relationship, you realize how much it sucks. Good and bad with everything, I guess. Just be a person that you would want to get a drink with, and you'll be all right. Story 47. Trying. The most sought-after guys are only ever single by choice. They don't have an overabundance of charm necessarily. All the same, they are discovered. The bar is easier to clear because what you'd normally be doing is what clears it. Do it right, and she'll have forgotten the bar entirely. Contrast that with the guy who's seeking every little edge. The reek could be discerned from miles off. Better to use that energy to make you the most you can be. Tip: she may try to see if you really are what you appear. Maintain yourself. There is no spoon. Story 48. Forgetting about romance. A lot of guys I've dated, although I don't usually let it get past a first date for this reason, move straight to intercourse or marriage, etc. Whilst these can be a part of a relationship, it's not the main part. Most girls don't like this, and we'd rather just get to know you and form a relationship before anything too intimate. Although I'll happily admit some girls are exactly like this too. Story 49. Sounds like you're trying to improve your chances of getting a girlfriend, and I promise to not disappoint you. No matter what anyone tells you, a woman expects you to initiate and make the first move. I've been on this planet almost 38 years, and I've only been asked out on a date by a woman twice. That's it. Make the first move. Other than that, I'd add 3 other things to help improve your chances. Work on your mental health. Get a therapist and read these 2 books, Nonviolent Communication and Daring Greatly. Those 2 books will change your life and teach you everything your parents never taught you about healthy communication. Work on your physical health. Work out, go to the dentist, go get a checkup with a doctor, shower, and make sure you wash your ass. If you find a woman that wants to hop in bed with you, make sure your hygiene is on point. Women don't care as much about physical appearance as men do, but they do like that you're active, taking good care of yourself, and have good hygiene. Flirt with everyone. I'm not saying flirt in a UL manner with everyone. That will get you in trouble, but you should be able to tease everyone. If you don't know how to start a conversation with a stranger, here's a foolproof plan. Observe something about them and say it out loud in a non-judgmental way. I see you're wearing workout clothes. Then pause and let them tell you about their clothes, or about their workout, or their day. The other thing you can do is tease people saying that they are happy to see you. When you go to the grocery store, skip the self-checkout lane and stand in line for a cashier. Tell the cashier with a smile on your face that, aren't you glad I stopped by today just to say hello? And see where the conversation goes. You'll find some people don't want to talk to you. That's okay. Just move on and flirt with everyone else. Essentially, slowly improve yourself and practice flirting. People will naturally gravitate to you if you are improving yourself and making them laugh. Use that information to your advantage in romantic, platonic, or business relationships. I'm glad I could help. Story 50. Thinking you're going to build a meaningful relationship with someone who does online dating. They're shopping for human-shaped lifestyle accessories and choosing someone out of a catalog like they're any other consumer product, and you'll never be anything more than this week's shiny shoes. BC, they think of people as objects. These tech companies have convinced a generation not that it's good, but that it's normal, and that exploring relationships based on shared experiences in life is creepy and offensive. Hope you enjoy all the therapy speak BC long-term. You guys are thoroughly screwed. Story 51, being desperate or too eager, being motivated by only, being poor at tilde 28 plus of age, relationships cost money, women want providers even if they have their own jobs, wanting a 8-10-10 when you yourself are out of shape, unmotivated and have bad hygiene. Work on yourself first, opening up too quickly or too much, or both. Get too comfortable too quickly. Don't obsess over her. Story 52. The Dree Dead Can I Talk to You? Or There's This Girl I Like text. Don't do it. It's kind of cringe and I know I get fight or flight with it. If you really want to ask a girl out, at least in me and my roommate's preference, meet up and be honest, don't dance around. Say, hey, this is what I want and kind of would like for our relationship to move forward. If yes, then great, and if no, be ready to accept that and don't be in tears or throwing things angry, and God forbid, don't ghost. It's fine to be bummed and upset but don't got to 10. They will likely still want to be friends afterwards. Story 53. Step 1. Assume everything about her, i.e. assume her physical type, assume what she finds attractive, assume what personality traits she admires. Step 2. Try to trick her into thinking that you fit into all of these assumed things. Guys, just be you, be kind and patient. Listen and absorb what she's saying. It's actually really simple, though shockingly difficult for some men, apparently. Also, if it's not working, then it isn't working. Don't try to force a spark where there is none. Not every woman, even if she's attracted to you, is a good match for you, and that's perfectly okay. Don't make her feel for rejecting you. Story 54. Pursuing too long, in my experience, you show genuine interest, show your best side. If she is interested, she'll go for it. If she's not but is flattered, she will want to keep you around as a friend, but it is not an invitation to keep trying. If you genuinely want to be friends with her, you ask her help in meeting someone else. She's your friend after all. I had this play successfully, both ways, where it did get the girl to realize she liked my interest, and we dated for a while. And a different time, I really did recruit best wingwoman ever. Thank you, Ashley. You can't force the outcome. You can only play the best hand that life gives you. And if you get it really bad for one you're interested in, and it doesn't work out, in my experience, you really can't be friends for a while until those feelings cool off. Some fairly basic things that people didn't point out to me. BC thought I was too young. Only your mother loves you unconditionally. Everyone else loves you for what you bring to the table. Good looks, work ethic, intelligence, kindness, humor. Those move around in importance as you age, but I would say maxing out each of those optimizes your chances of finding someone you would value highly. The point of early relationships is to figure out what you need to work on. The first serious one tends to last longer than it should. The second one is the most important, because if the same issues come up as the first one, there is a very real chance that you are driving that dynamic. The third serious one is the charm, as you have, hopefully, identified your issues, can communicate them, and know when you're being the asshole. That said, I never dated anyone I wouldn't consider marrying, but that's how I was raised. In the long run, in order of importance, conscientiousness, kindness, intelligence, attractiveness, humor. The part where you find them beautiful does help limit the duration of anger, but the other traits determine how often you're angry. When you're with a conscientious person, you're almost never angry. Story 55. I might get downvoted for this, but putting up with crazy. I don't believe all women are crazy, but I know that a lot of them can get crazy. Without fail, it starts as a blip. They apologize saying that's not who they are until it becomes more and more frequent and becomes who they really are. Don't put up with narcissism. Don't put up with screaming. Don't put up with physical and/or emotional abuse. Gender doesn't matter. It's never okay. And normal people do not regularly use job stress or past relationships or their periods as an excuse to hurt people they love. And when they occasionally do, they unconditionally apologize. Anything else is crazy. It's not cute to be insecure. The more you let it go, the more okay they feel doing it. Story 56. Some of you dudes try to hard and smother the girl instead of playing it chill. Yeah, constant communication is one thing, but gotta let them breathe as bad as you want to hang out with them. Let them miss you for a bit. Ask them how they doing about their week. Don't ghost, just don't be overbearing. Be respectful. Treat them like a normal human being. Flirt with them, yes, but also have a civil conversation. Keep them interested. That's how I landed my fiancé who proposed to me on Christmas Day, asterisk, sheesh. Story 57. Not being yourself, not communicating, and not asking out. Let's some perspective on here. Would you like to be with someone and then a few months in make a drastic turn of interest because they weren't sincere with their original introduction? Also take a plunge and ask, it feels like the end of the world and you might get lucky, but it's for best that you make your intentions clear so as to not waste anyone's time. And talk to them like a person you want to be around and not someone you put on a pedestal, because even if you had no intentions that would come off as weird to anyone, be a genuine nice person and build on actually being one long term with that person. Story 58. Trying to get is trying too hard. To my recollection, no women have ever said, I'm really attracted to guys looking for a girlfriend. Just go be the best version of yourself, have a vision, and follow it. But also remember that meeting and making friends of any kind is a numbers game. The more people you meet, the more likely it is you'll find your tribe. Or maybe the perfect person will find you. Ultimately, the guy has to be attractive in some way, and being emotionally needy doesn't get over that bar. The problem for American men, no idea what it's like in other countries, is that they aren't trained to manage their emotions well enough, and they either bury them or let them dictate every moment. Somewhere between those two poles, guys can realize that being lonely is manageable, and keeping busy with right effort does wonders for others' perception of them. Earn respect and sometimes love follows. Story 59. Trying to get a girlfriend. Relationships are about often two people getting along. When you as a person allow yourself to meet another person, things can happen. You might end up as a boyfriend and girlfriend, or you might get a friend or whatever. But if the other person is only a goal to you, they will sense it most likely. It's like making a friend. It must be mutual. You don't make a friend by making up schemes that trap the other person into liking you. What would that kind of friendship be like? Do you want to always be playing a game and pretending, or do you want the other person to genuinely like you as you are? Story 60. Trying to be somebody they're not. The truth comes out in a couple months. If their true person isn't attractive, they can fix that gym, etc., but don't be dishonest. Not understanding the notion that usually it's the girl who gets to choose. She doesn't like you? Move on. You have no chance. Don't linger. Dating is like visiting a candy store, and guys are the candy. Being uncomfortable with who they are. Pervert? Own it. Girls can be perverts too. Have some weird hobby? Own it. Girls can have weird hobbies too. Unhappiness with oneself leads to low self-esteem, which sticks out like a sore thumb. Story 61. Just be yourself is ultimately good advice, but it's not the full story. It's good to be authentic and sincere, but you also have to be realistic about what your authentic and sincere self is attracting. I have a friend that's big into anime, video games, nerdy stuff. It's great that he embraces his interests and that side of himself, but he's wildly unrealistic about the kind of person that's going to attract. You also have to make your authentic self an attractive human being in some way. Ultimately, watching TV isn't inherently an attractive personality trait. Story 62. As a guy who is currently in it, here's a list of mistakes I either made or avoided. Trying too hard. Guilty. If you are always the one initiating and they don't at the very least carry their part of the conversation or do their part of the scheduling, then they clearly don't want whatever you offer. Don't waste your time. Being too clingy. Guilty. There is such a thing as too much interaction. You don't have to be chatting all day every day. You will come off as either obsessed or desperate. Both are bad. Being a fake. Avoided. You are a person with interests, hobbies, worldview, etc. Trying to look like something you're not or trying to force upon yourself something you do not enjoy will backfire for everyone involved. That being said, it never hurts to try and share other person's interests. Be flexible, but not spineless. Being too physically touchy. Guilty. Everyone has different boundaries. And from my experience, most women are too polite to let you know you overstep them unless you do something wild. It's safe to either let the woman take the lead or straight up ask to clarify. Being inconsistent with your intentions. Avoided. Your word only has a worth if you act on it. If you say that you see a person as a friend and later change your mind, you have a choice. Either stay consistent even though it feels bad, or retroactively become a liar, or, directly communicate the change before acting on it. Not taking a no for an answer. Avoided. Enough said. They're only free to choose you if they're also free to refuse you. Otherwise, there's no point in the choice. So accept their choice. Back down, if need be. You can't force a thing like love.